muscle. 844, Big 550. RS Charles D'Angelo. I've known the man for years. He's a good man. He's got a great heart, and he is a man who inspires people to lose all sorts of weight and get their life back on track. Charles D'Angelo, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Hey, guys. How are you guys doing this morning?
Tell us, we're doing good. Tell us about the woman you helped. You helped her lose half her body weight?
Yes. So if you go to fox2now.com or you can go to Facebook, Fox2Now, they posted a story of one of my clients. Her name is Julie Newman, and she's a human resources manager over at Boeing. And in the past year, she's dropped 131 pounds, losing half of her size, which, as you know, is no small feat. So
right.
It's a remarkable story for a couple of reasons. One is she's a woman who, at one time in her life, had gastric bypass surgery in 2009. She had lost some weight, only to slowly regain it as those old habits creep back in. And so just goes to prove the point I always discuss with everyone, that if a diet, if an exercise plan were enough, I don't think we'd see this type of problem. You've really got to address the underlying issues and the mindset piece to get the things moving in the right direction.
Yeah. How long did it take her to lose the weight?
1 year. It's taken her the last year. She signed up to work with me around last Christmas and has worked with me through this last year. And then I always tell people this is a journey without a finish line. So when you're listening to this and you're inspired and you know that it's possible, that's great. And, you know, motivation is an awesome thing, but you've got to translate that over into consistent daily discipline. And that's not sexy, it's not attractive to hear, but the reality is if you want to have the equity of health, the equity of energy, the equity of having some direction that you're moving toward that you're really excited about, you've got to be willing to make these deposits of discipline. And all too often, we have this smorgasbord of different things claiming to be a way to get healthy or fit really quickly. And the only way I know of, and I've been looking at this for quite some time, having once weighed 360 pounds myself, is daily good choices with food, consistent cardiovascular exercise, some weight training, but most importantly, having a good relationship with yourself so you don't reach for food like a drug.
You know, the other interesting thing is a lot of people are like, oh, I've got to exercise. Oh, I got to eat right. You know what? When you're doing your plan and you're working hard, you actually feel good and you like to exercise. And you get to a point where you enjoy the exercise and you enjoy eating right.
They say that most of person's problem with exercise is simply getting to the gym, making it convenient. So one thing you want to look at is really managing your activity. You can't really manage time because all of us, whether it's Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, McGraw-Milhaven, Kelly Jackson, or Charles, all of us have the same 24 hours every day. So what you want to look at is trying to develop a routine. And by routinizing things, by making things very simple and not overcomplicating it, by knowing what you're doing ahead of time, it's not very sexy in the sense of having a lot of variety or a lot of choice, but what it does is it makes you so that you can give a lot of the energy that you have to the things that really matter in your life.
Right.
And all too often we get caught up and distracted by food, by our weight, when really if we would put a lot of that energy into other areas, our life would be a lot more fulfilling.
What clicked with her and has she been able to maintain?
Absolutely. So the one thing I always tell people about the maintenance part is that I get that question all the time. You know, how many people, Charles, you've helped so many, how many people keep their weight off? And I always say, I won't be able to give a real honest answer until every one of them are dead. Because the reality is, this is forever. You know, sometimes people put on 5 pounds, 7 pounds. Other people never put on a pound. I think the majority of people never really fully integrate in the sense of don't have a time here or there where they kind of let it all go. But they don't really let that continue. They catch it much earlier when they work with me because they're much more conscious. If you just stay conscious about what you're doing, even if you have a bad weekend or even a bad week, or let's say a tragedy happens and you lose a loved one or you go through a job loss and you kind of go back to using food to console yourself, if you stay conscious and you catch yourself when it's just 1, 2, 3 pounds and you correct yourself, it's not an issue. It's when you go unconscious for a long period of time and you're not really thinking about what you're doing, and then you wake up one day back at where you started, or for most people, much heavier.
Yeah.
So for her, she had to recognize that while you can make your stomach smaller, that doesn't really deal with the relationship issue that you have with food. And so you need to really look at that to integrate and get to a place where food for you takes on a whole new meaning.
I tell you what, you know, eating right, exercising isn't sexy, but Charles D'Angelo, you are.
Well, thank you very much, McGraw.
How do people get a hold of you? What's your website and email?
My website is charlesdangelo.com, and the phone number is 314-495-3228. And if people would just be a lot more self-accepting, a lot more self-loving, they'd be amazed at just how much progress they can make. I think that's really what the work all comes down to, is really starting to honor yourself. The good parts, the parts you're not so comfortable with, and as you start to do that, you start to respect yourself a lot more.
It's a great program. Charles, thanks for